That time Hori and Miyamura got reincarnated in another world by Akane Horikita. Chapter 6. The Clash with the Orc Lord and the Birth of Tempest Kingdom. The time for preparation had come to an end. The combined forces of the goblins, ogres, wolves, and lizardmen stood united under Hori and Miyamura's leadership. Their army stretched out across the plains, an intimidating force ready to face the Orc Lord and his massive army of orcs. The air was thick with anticipation, the silence before the storm. Hori and Miyamura stood at the forefront, side by side, their faces set with determination. Behind them, Benimaru, Shion, Ranga, Gabiru, and the other warriors prepared for battle, their weapons drawn and their eyes focused on the horizon. "The Orc Lord is somewhere in that horde," Hori said quietly, her voice steady. "We have to take him down." Miyamura nodded. "We can't let him gain any more power. If we don't stop him here, his army will consume everything." As if on cue, the ground trembled beneath their feet, and from the distance, a deafening roar echoed across the battlefield. The orc army had arrived. Thousands upon thousands of orcs marched forward in perfect unison, their heavy steps shaking the earth. At the center of the army, towering over the rest, was the Orc Lord himself, a massive figure of raw strength and power. The two forces clashed with a thunderous roar. Goblins and ogres charged into battle, their weapons clashing against the thick hide of the orcs. Wolves darted through the battlefield, attacking from all sides, while the lizardmen used their agility to strike swiftly and retreat just as fast. The battle was fierce, with both sides giving everything they had. Benimaru led a group of goblins and lizardmen in a powerful frontal assault, his fiery attacks scorching the ground as he cut through the orcs with ease. "We'll push through. Don't let them overwhelm us." Shion, wielding her massive sword, fought beside him, her movements precise and deadly. "Let's show them the strength of our village." Miyamura and Hori fought side by side as well, cutting their way through the orc ranks with ease. Their teamwork was flawless, each move they made was perfectly in sync, their understanding of each other allowing them to fight as one. As they carved a path toward the Orc Lord, the massive beast finally took notice of them. His eyes narrowed as he watched them approach, clearly unimpressed by their appearance. "You dare challenge me?" the Orc Lord growled, his voice a deep rumble that shook the ground. "You are nothing compared to my power." Hori and Miyamura exchanged a glance before stepping forward to face him directly. "We'll see about that," Hori said, her voice calm but firm. The Orc Lord roared in anger, raising his massive axe and swinging it down at them with tremendous force. The ground cracked beneath the blow, but Hori and Miyamura dodged easily, their movements swift and precise. Miyamura struck first, his blade flashing as he slashed at the Orc Lord's side. The orc's thick skin deflected the blow, but it didn't stop him from staggering back slightly. Hori followed up with a powerful attack of her own, aiming for the Orc Lord's legs to destabilize him. Despite their speed and skill, the Orc Lord remained confident, his massive form barely budging from their strikes. "You think you can harm me? I am the Orc Lord, the devourer of nations." With a snarl, the Orc Lord unleashed a wave of dark magic, the air crackling with energy. A shockwave rippled out from him, knocking back several of the goblins and wolves fighting nearby. Hori and Miyamura barely managed to shield themselves in time, the force of the blast sending them skidding back across the battlefield. "He's tough," Miyamura muttered, wiping the sweat from his brow, "but we're not giving up." Hori nodded, her eyes narrowing in determination. "We need to hit him harder." As the battle raged around them, the Orc Lord swung his axe again, this time aiming directly at Miyamura. With incredible speed, Miyamura blocked the strike, his blade vibrating from the impact. The force of the blow sent him sliding back, but he didn't falter. "Hori, now," he called out. Hori, already moving, dashed forward with lightning speed, her sword glowing with energy. She leapt into the air, bringing her blade down in a powerful arc aimed directly at the Orc Lord's exposed shoulder. The impact was devastating, her sword sliced through the Orc Lord's tough skin, drawing blood and eliciting a roar of pain from the beast. Enraged, the Orc Lord swung wildly, but Hori and Miyamura danced around his attacks, their movements fluid and perfectly timed. Each strike they delivered weakened the Orc Lord further, pushing him closer to defeat. "Impossible!" the Orc Lord bellowed, his confidence finally starting to waver. "I cannot be defeated by mere humans." Miyamura's eyes flashed as he lunged forward, delivering a powerful blow to the Orc Lord's chest. You underestimated us. Hori followed up with a final, decisive strike, her sword glowing with intense energy as she drove it into the Orc Lord's heart. The beast let out a final, anguished roar before collapsing to the ground, his massive form shaking the earth as he fell. The battlefield fell silent for a moment as the Orc army watched in disbelief. Their leader, the mighty Orc Lord, had been defeated. Hori and Miyamura stood over the fallen Orc Lord, their breathing heavy but triumphant. Without hesitation, they reached out and began to absorb the Orc Lord's essence, just as Rimuru had done in the original timeline. The power of the Orc Lord flowed into them, his immense strength becoming theirs. As the last of the Orc Lord's power was absorbed, a wave of cheers erupted from their army. Goblins, ogres, lizardmen, and wolves alike celebrated their victory, their voices rising in unison as they applauded their leaders. Benimaru, covered in sweat and blood, grinned widely. We did it, the Orc Lord is no more. Chien, standing beside him, smiled proudly. Lady Hori, Lord Miyamura, you've saved us all. Gabiru, his earlier arrogance forgotten, bowed his head in respect. I misjudged you. You truly are incredible. Hori and Miyamura, though exhausted, couldn't help but smile at the sight of their people cheering in triumph. The battle had been hard fought, but they had won, and with the Orc Lord's defeat, they had secured peace for their village. Miyamura turned to Hori, his expression softening. We did it. Hori smiled back at him, her heart swelling with pride. Yeah, we did it, together. The army continued to celebrate around them, their victory over the Orc Lord a testament to the strength of their unity. As Hori and Miyamura stood at the center of it all, they knew that this was only the beginning. More challenges would come, but with their bond and the loyalty of their people, they were ready to face whatever the future held. After the battle against the Orc Lord, the battlefield was still, save for the quiet murmurs of the Orc soldiers who remained. They stood, heads bowed, no longer the fierce army they once were. The defeat of their leader had shattered their will to fight, and now they awaited their fate. Hori and Miyamura stood at the forefront of their army, the cheers of victory still echoing in the distance. They exchanged a glance, both knowing what had to be done. It was time to make a decision, one that would shape the future of their growing kingdom. Hori stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. To all of you, she addressed the remaining orcs, your leader has fallen, but that doesn't mean this has to be the end for you. We won't kill you or punish you. Instead, we offer you a choice. Miyamura nodded, stepping up beside her. You can stay in service, live in peace, and help us build something better. Or you can leave and go your own way. The choice is yours. The orcs, who had expected to be slaughtered, looked up in surprise. Their eyes widened in disbelief as they processed Hori and Miyamura's words. Could they truly be offering them a chance to start over? One of the orcs, bolder than the rest, stepped forward cautiously. You would forgive us, even after what we've done? Hori nodded. Yes. What's done is done, but we believe in giving people a second chance. Service, and we promise to treat you with respect. Miyamura crossed his arms, his gaze steady. But know this, betray that trust, and we won't hesitate to defend ourselves. We want peace, but we're not weak. The orcs exchanged uncertain glances, their fear slowly giving way to hope. After a long, tense silence, the bold orc who had stepped forward knelt before Hori and Miyamura. We accept, he said, his voice low but sincere. We will follow you, serve you as our new lords. One by one, the other orcs followed his lead, bowing before their new rulers. It was a moment of relief, not just for the orcs, but for everyone who had fought so hard to secure peace. The lizardmen, who had fought alongside them, also knelt, pledging their loyalty. Gabiru, humbled by the earlier battle, approached Hori and Miyamura with a deep bow. You have my loyalty as well. The lizardmen will stand by your side, Lord Miyamura, Lady Hori. Hori smiled softly. Thank you, Gabiru. Together, we'll create something great. As night fell, the village of goblins, ogres, lizardmen, and orcs was alive with celebration. Fires crackled, casting a warm glow across the camp, and the sounds of laughter and music filled the air. Tables were set up, laden with food and drink as the people gathered to celebrate their victory. At the center of it all, Hori and Miyamura stood on a small platform, ready to address the growing crowd. Benimaru, Shion, Shuna, Ranga, Gobta, Gabiru, and the others stood nearby, watching with eager anticipation. Hori raised her hand, and the crowd quieted. Tonight, we celebrate not just our victory, but the beginning of something new, she began, her voice carrying across the crowd. We are no longer just a village of goblins or ogres or lizard men. We are one people, united in strength and purpose. Miyamura smiled at Hori before addressing the crowd himself. And with that unity, we need a name. A name that represents who we are and what we're building. From this day forward, we will be known as the Tempest Kingdom. A cheer erupted from the crowd, voices raised in celebration as the name was announced. Tempest Kingdom, their new home, their new future. The banquet continued well into the night, with people dancing, eating, and sharing stories of the battle. Benimaru sat with a mug in hand, watching Hori and Miyamura from across the fire. They really are something, aren't they? He mused, taking a sip of his drink. Shion, sitting beside him, nodded. Their bond. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. The way they fight together, led together. They're perfectly in sync. Shuna smiled softly, her eyes following Hori and Miyamura as they moved through the crowd, their smiles warm and their hands often brushing against each other. It's not just their strength. It's the way they care for each other, and for all of us. They lead with kindness, and that's what makes them special. Gabiru, who had joined them, chuckled. I never thought I'd see the day where I'd be following someone like that, but I don't regret it. As the night wore on, Hori and Miyamura found a quiet moment to themselves, sitting together on a small hill overlooking the village. The stars twinkled above them, and the sounds of celebration drifted up from below. Miyamura glanced at Hori, a smile tugging at his lips. We really did it, didn't we? Hori leaned against him, her head resting on his shoulder. Yeah, we did. They sat there in comfortable silence, their hands intertwined. But just as Miyamura leaned in, hoping for a rare quiet moment of romance, a familiar voice interrupted. Lord Miyamura. Lady Hori. Shion called out, her voice cheerful as she approached. We've prepared more food, come join us. Both of them jumped slightly, flustered by the interruption. Hori turned bright red, while Miyamura rubbed the back of his neck, laughing awkwardly. Ah, sure, Shion, Miyamura replied, trying to play it off. Hori, still blushing, shot him a teasing look, and they both stood up to join the others. As they walked back toward the celebration, Shuna joined them, smiling at their flustered expressions. You two are adorable. Miyamura sighed, glancing at Hori, who was still blushing but smiling. We can't catch a break, can we? Hori chuckled softly. Maybe one day. But for now, they were content to celebrate with their friends and family, knowing that the future of Tempest Kingdom was bright, and that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together.